The scenario is set in country of Iraq that has established itself as a worldwide leader in AI. Artificial intelligence has evolved to outperform humans in various fields and enable Iraq to amass massive amount of wealth. However, the ubiquitous use of AI has taken away many jobs. In response, Iraq government has established a basic income support system for its populace. The few jobs left are largely influenced by the new testing system title that has caused an excessively competitive atmosphere among the youth. With Iraq facing challenges like unemployment, lack of self-realization, and class polarization, let's see how the teams intend to resolve these problems using their proposed solutions.
The current society of Iraq is stuck between a rock and a hard place. They face the ancient problem of how to best develop a good society with all its complexities of power, ethics, and class struggles, combined with the modern exponential complexities of a digitalized society. Both challenges are underlined not only by the need to remain internationally relevant knowledge-wise, but also the need to keep an economic foothold on the world stage. This is the tension between old and new world structures that Iraq, its civilians, and its world must manage in the transition. If we are to trace Iraq's development of governance and economy, the nation has historically shifted between monarchism before the 1930s to laissez-faire capitalism of strive to be useful, a reversion back to the 1930s, and finally a form of socialism with the implementation of basic income. However, technology adds that another complication. In order to maintain the technological lead Iraq has in the world, the economic benefits that AI brings seems to have become more prioritized than the fulfillment and well-being of humanity. If we map the issue to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we can see that while the physiological needs are being met through basic income, the needs of self-actualization and fulfillment are not. We have encapsulated this broad idea within 3 values of what we define as a good society within Iraq's context. 1, humanity must be empowered. We must be interdisciplinary. It is only through a combination of disciplines with the multifaceted nature of humans be strengthened. By systematically embedding this through education during an individual's formative years, they will be more equipped with an array of skills that will best serve them for their future. Thus, we propose a new definition of education, which is to be an active, thoughtful citizen of society. We aim to practically implement this value through 1, the adjustment of title as an additional test of the 7, which utilizes psychologist Howard Gardner's theory of 7 intelligences. In this way, education is expanded so that it appeals to a student's natural mode of learning.
Blockchain technology in government systems. This is aimed at infusing trust in the relationship between government and civilian while laying a digital foundation for secure government services. This will be achieved through a decentralized but closed blockchain network for citizens of Iraq to access. This policy will become more clear when I go on to explain the innovative idea. The second policy, Policy 5, Structural Unemployment and the Problem Solver Initiative, is to re-educate and prepare the unemployed for rejoining the workforce, in addition to self-organizing, value-adding activities, which can be rewarded through digital tokens, which I will also elaborate on further in the initiative in the Innovative Ideas section. Through community education centers and job centers, teaching will be interdisciplinary, plus encouraging a problem solver's mindset. Policy 6, the restructuring of universal basic income, is to reassess the government's current system of UBI and replace it with an adjusting basic income, freeing up government spending on those who maintain a certain income bracket while still supporting those who are unemployed or transitioning.
These policies focus on the security and management of Iraq as a technologically driven society and speaks to the 3rd value of our ideology: technology must benefit humanity.
Given this, the features of the Iraq's United People's Decentralized Repository digital platform will be able to undertake sensitive services such as voting, payments, storing valuable data, and delegating digital identifications. These are just some of the main functions of the digital platform. Its intention is to be flexible, user-friendly, and a place for informational and value exchange for the good of Iraq.
So we are Team Missing Semester, and our motto is filling gaps and making sensations. So before we start on, we want to envision a good society through our core values. So we have dictated 7 core values that we want to mention throughout this debate. And the core values are perseverance, empowerment, innovation, humanity, open-mindedness, integrity, and intellectual curiosity. And we have our objectives. So for humans and AIs, for us humans to further better ourselves and our society, we recognize the differences between AIs and humans and make use of the excellence of AI in certain fields. And for society, we want to tackle the problem of monopolization and also tackle the problem of distribution of wealth and power. And we also focus on the people. And we believe that only by fostering and performing ownership and responsibility within society and making use of decision-making rights can a community come together. And we also want to rebalance the government budget. So our first policy tackles on basic income. So the motivation of the solution is the excessive basic income that depresses the people's willingness to work. And as the current national budget is overly concentrated in welfare, we want to redistribute the current proportion on basic income to other sectors such that there can be more fulfillment of society. So the next major sector that we want to target in our policy is the industrial part. And in AROC, title is the only evaluation method available for selecting student workforce, and students are only allowed to apply once. So this creates a very extreme dependence and very risky dependence on all students, whether they pass the test or not, and they go through a painful school life. And we want to provide a 5% jobs, a lottery-based jobs for the entire population that expires in a year. And we also provide a 5% skill-based jobs. And we want to provide this lottery-based job by the longer one attends school, the higher the probability in the lottery. And we also want to focus on education. So education is the key for success. And we believe that students need to find and foster students' potential. And we provide a solution called the Capstone Design Project. I think a few of us may be familiar with the Capstone Design Project. This would allow students to actively communicate. And also we want to provide for students that receive high scores in this Capstone Design Projects, offer jobs for mentoring the students, providing a positive cycle. So this is the overview of our solution. And we believe that a lot of positive effects were going to occur due to our solution, such as a paradigm shift and a working population, the unemployed population to become a working and participating part of AROC. Through the lifelong learning, we believe that we can cultivate positive attitude and self-realization. And through the fiscal adjustment of the welfare and basic income, we believe that we can improve AROC people's self-realization and also provide support for the policies that we are suggesting.
You guys state in policy 4 that you will create 10% new jobs, 5% jobs are skill-based, and 5% are lottery-based. So could you elaborate on that? What are these jobs and how will you create them?
I think what lacks in AROC is the communication within people and between people. So we want to have lottery-based jobs do like this. And for the skill-based jobs, we want to incorporate the skill-based jobs with the lifelong learning that we are doing, such that the skill-based job, the people selected from the skill-based jobs, the new jobs, can be acting as the mentors and the teachers for the lifelong learning or mentors for hackathon. So we were thinking about what jobs cannot AIs replace, and we think that mentoring and a very intimate contact with people are still areas that AIs have difficulties replacing. So we wanted our jobs to focus on this area. Thank you.
You kind of reformed the title by the Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence and break it into 7. Could you explain how do you intend to create jobs for the new 7 categories that you highlighted, and also assign jobs for people based on the need of the government and AROC?
So essentially, we want to diversify AROC from rather than just having a country focused on AI research and also humanities. And we aim to do that through that policy by bringing in international talent. So that's another way. So that's a more long-term view.
So I have a first question to Economics. So you mentioned that the blockchain system by government, and I think it sounds very interesting. And I can see that it may increase people's trust on how their private data are used. But I'm not so sure whether it will solve the major problems that Iraq is facing right now, which is lack of jobs or education related problems. And how do you think it relates to such problems?
So the way that we were approaching it was more from a cultural perspective. It was more of a holistic roundabout approach. So in saying that blockchain will be able to increase trust in a more of a around its society. So say for instance, when we have Gardner's theory, he was a developmental psychologist, and when we were looking at the title test, it was more so that it seemed a little bit restrictive. Students could only choose one option that they were interested in. But what happens if students are interested in multiple things, or they have multiple intelligences, which is what Howard Gardner's theory was based on, the several intelligences. So in doing that, it's not so much, our policies are more in a transitory period, not necessarily from one place and then we'll be able to achieve a goal, but it was more so on the roadmap on the way there. So in saying that, we're able to kind of facilitate and manage the boundaries between what is happening now and what's happening in the future, and keeping a foot in both. And by having that holistic community aspect to it, we're able to kind of culture and nurture children in their learning when they're going out into the world, and they're able to facilitate that learning by having different sorts of channels in which they can be encouraged to learn and increase that learning.
So you propose financial support for startups. I think main goal is to increase the number of jobs. And again, I guess this should require significant investment from government financially. So do you think this is realistic in terms of current government budget?
And we believe that a startup should focus on one goal or solving a problem. And by doing it, startups are more lean than other, the majority of companies. And we believe that through the supports that is deduced by reducing the basic income. We believe that more than 15% of the government budget can be reproportioned to other sectors. And we believe that if a 3% or a 4% investment to startups would create a significant impact that might solve the current problems that Iraq is facing.
Main need for the missing semester scheme, but I think there's an aspect that relates to economics as well. So you're for the creation of jobs, you mentioned mentoring for the Capstone projects for those who are younger than you, I guess. So this is, do you think this is enough? Can we get enough sense of purpose by, you're essentially studying to teach what you studied? If your purpose of doing the Capstone project is to get a job to mentor other students in the same course, do you think that's sufficient?
And what those projects all focus on is to discover a new problem within society and providing a way to solve this problem. And each of these problems that the students are suggesting are unique and different. So we believe that the mentors can find meaning as they are creating differences in society through mentoring and capstone projects.
We all agree that all people are different. They have inner differences. They also have physical differences. However, we are working on a policy at a government level. So we shouldn't direct people on a certain job We should give them opportunities and we should let them choose. So our main purpose is giving people more opportunities for them to foster or take. And the top 1% of the Capstone project should choose to become a mentor or not become a mentor. It's their choice. For people who become mentors, they can either find meaning by teaching students, or working with students to find solutions for social problems.
While we do believe that we also want to cultivate lifelong learning, we think that this is an ideological shift that will probably take the course over a long period of time. In the meantime, rather than just hoping for people to rapidly adopt a love for learning, we think that there needs to be a more sense of responsibility granted to civilians. So we intend to do that with the high frequency voting. Objective of the high frequency voting is to, one, increase democratic decision making and just increase overall civilian participation. And that may lead to learning about certain issues. So environmental policy might occur at a national level, and those votes can be casted at a local level. For example, an individual might cast a vote up for putting a stop sign at the local school. But the idea of increasing participation, accountability and responsibility within a society, we think is like that first step of just increasing awareness and engagement. And we think this also has some knock-on effects in community building and bridging those rifts between the different classes.
Core values, as mentioned before, are intellectual curiosity, integrity, open-mindedness, perseverance, empowerment, innovation, and humanity. And our objective is to focus on human-AI interaction, society, the people, government budgets, and on policies. Our society currently faces 5 major problems: title and basic income orientation, malformed distribution of the national budget, lack of student relief plans, job monopolizations, and a nepotist society. Instead, we strongly believe that harmony within EROC can only be achievable through constant civilian participation in governmental affairs and policies, and through long and arduous but very necessary interchange between the citizens regardless of their socioeconomic status. In essence, we wish to create a common ground within our society.
As previously mentioned, the issue that faces not just EROC but civilians today is not only technological but existential. The more we utilize technology as a means to augment and optimize our reality, the more we are redefining what our humanity is. This is especially so in a networked society where the exertion of power is subtle. The most minute changes can be explosive, and the speed of connection is exponential. Through our policies and ideology, we show that a cultural change is needed in EROC to achieve something that is balanced both for technology and the needs of the human nature. Thank you.